There are a ton of cameras out there and just about 1 billion different ways to rig them out. And after 3 years of trial and error with a ton of different gear, I have finally found the perfect cinema rig. Alright, so 3 years ago, I bought an Ursa 12K, and I have to say that it's been one of the best investments I've ever made. The image quality and the overall color that this camera produces with its skin tones and just what you can do with the final image and how you can color grade it in this price range, to me, is absolutely unmatched. And if you guys want to see a full review on this camera, check out this link right here. I break down all the specs, how I use it in my workflow, and I show a ton of test footage of what I shot over the last 3 years. Now, right out of the box, when you buy this camera, all you get is the body, and it originally comes with a PL mount. So I went out and I got the EF mount and I installed it, and I have to be honest, I was a little bit intimidated installing this EF mount, but I just kind of unscrewed the PL mount, took it out, and I was like, wow, this is actually super simple. I just put the EF mount in, screwed it back in. But overall, it was like a super easy thing to do. So if that's something that you need to do or you want to do, don't be intimidated by that. It's super simple. The next thing that I bought was this Indy Pro V-mount battery plate. And this battery plate you do have to install yourself, but again, it's super simple. You just screw it right into the back plate. And originally I got the Indy Pro V-mount batteries, but I just recently switched to the small rig V-mount batteries. And the reason why I switched to the small rig V-mount batteries, because not only is it a much smaller compact size, which is great for the Ursa because this thing is already super heavy, but you could press the little power button on the side and it tells you exactly how much battery life you have left. And then on top of that, it comes with a port to plug in USB and USB-C. To me, that was a huge benefit and a huge plus. And I'm always looking for smaller form things that I could put on this rig because the rig itself is pretty big. So anything that I can kind of size down and scale down, you definitely want to do, especially when you're rocking this Ursa. For the top handle and mic mount, I went with the Blackmagic version of these, and that's because it's just a sleeker, overall, like nicer design. Now, the mic mount itself is pretty sturdy, and I've used mic mounts in the past that are made of plastic, and one of two things either happens. They either break over time, or B, like they're not like too stable. So like if you're doing a lot of movement around, the microphone starts moving and it starts that rattling sound on the microphone, and that's definitely not something that you want to do, especially when you're filming, you know, a lot of documentaries like I am. So I just went and got both of these from Blackmagic, and I definitely don't regret it. For me, it's perfect. Now for media, this is where things got a little bit tricky because the camera right out of the box doesn't have many places to add attachments, and because I wanted to use an SSD and not like a CFast card, I had to find a way to attach the SSD to the camera. And what I was able to do was add this little Tilta SSD holder to the side of the camera, and I just, you know, screwed it right into the plate that I added, and then I put the SSD right inside there, and it works perfectly. Now for the SSD, I'm using a 2TB SanDisk Extreme Pro. Now one thing that I noticed about this SanDisk card is that it works perfectly on anything in 4K. When you get up to 8K and you start running the higher frame rates, that's when you start having an issue with this SanDisk. The read and write speed, I guess, isn't as fast. So when I start doing like 8K 90, after like 30 seconds, it just stops recording. It's definitely annoying, but then again, it's kind of like, do I really need to shoot 8K footage at 90 frames more than like 30 or 60 seconds at a time? In most cases, probably not. Now in 4K, it handles everything in 4K. It could shoot all the way up to 240 frames in 4K, no problem. But if you do plan on shooting a lot of footage in like 8K at higher frame rates, then you might want to look into getting a different SSD. Now, let's talk audio for a second. For microphones, I use my trusty Rode NTG3, and I actually did a bunch of microphone reviews reviewing all the top microphones in every single budget. If you guys want to check that out, I'll leave this link right here. In my opinion, this microphone was the best bang for your buck. It's a great sounding microphone, and I definitely vouch for it. I've been using it on my docuseries for like 3 years. I'm super happy with it. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna leave all the links to this gear down below, so if you guys want to buy any of that stuff, you can go and check that out. Now for my monitor, I'm using a FieldWorld Cut 6 camera monitor, and to attach this monitor, I use a Falcam Arm. Now the reason why I use this Falcam Arm is because they have these little interchangeable locks that go to every one of their pieces of gear, and they're super easy to use, and you just slide slide it in and it locks, and it doesn't move around. It's super strong and secure. Anything you attach to this thing, it's gonna stay there. So I highly suggest checking out, you know, some Falcam stuff. I'm gonna leave links to their Amazon store down below if you guys want to check some of that stuff out. Now we're talking about lenses, and lenses are probably one of the most important part of your cinema rig. And there's a few lenses that I really recommend that you guys go out and at the very least rent to see if you guys like. But to me, the Sigma Art 50mm prime is by far my favorite lens in my arsenal. There's just something about the image quality that you get that's really sharp, and the bokeh is just beautiful. I also have a Sur-Ray 35mm prime lens, and I've really grown to like that lens a lot. It gives kind of a different character and a different vibe to your footage, and it's got its own unique look to it. I definitely suggest going out, renting that, and checking that one out. And if you like it, of course, I'll leave links down below to all this stuff. And the last two lenses that I like using are zoom lenses, and that is the Sigma Art 24 to 35mm, and then the Sigma Art 24 to 70mm. I felt like the 24 to 35 was just a little bit sharper than the 24 to 70, and then on the 24 to 35 you get a 2.0 aperture, which is a little bit lower than the 24 to 70, which is at a 2.8 aperture. If I know that I'm going to be in pretty close proximities, but I need that ability to zoom, I'll use the 24 to 35. And if I need to be really close to something and I know that I could be in a lot of different scenarios, then I'm going to, you know, pop on the 24 to 70. And I really love all of these Sigma Art lenses. I vouch for them. If you guys want to buy any of that stuff, I'll leave links down below. I'd like to thank you guys for stopping in, hanging out, and talking about these really awesome pieces of gear with me, man. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I am here to help you guys, whatever you guys need. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.